Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sun Lakes Candidates Forum. This forum is presented by the District Delegate Assembly, and we have 8 candidates for 3 positions on the Board of Directors. To begin with, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance. Thank you for the pledge. My name is Joe Firmino. I am the chairperson of the District Delegate Assembly and the moderator today. To my left is Jim Curry. He is the timekeeper. And I would like to, at this time, mention that we had a question review panel. And the panel reviewed and evaluated all of the questions submitted by members of the Homeowners Association. The district delegates in each of the districts asked for their questions from their people. And the committee members are Linda Earls, Susan Howie, Evelyn Hawkins, who was the chairperson, and Lily Lowitz. So that takes care of the delegates that were involved. But more important today, we have 8 candidates for the 3 positions on the Board of Directors. And I am going to take them and let you know their names alphabetically. We have Eugene Gino DeMonico, Laurie Hazelton, Howard Katz, John T. Jones, Betty McMillian, Randy Robbins, Beverly Simmons, and Linda Spalding. I want to thank you, all 8 of you, for willing to donate your time and your efforts for a very difficult job, and good luck to all 8 of you. We're going to begin today with a presentation for 5 minutes from each of the candidates. And at the beginning of the proceedings today, they drew numbers for the position. So, for the candidate statement, number 1, we have Howard Katz. And I would please ask all of the candidates to remain seated, speaking into the microphones that's each on your table. And by the way, if you need something to drink because of your throat tightening up or what have you, behind me is all kinds of something to drink, so don't hesitate to get up and walk over there, all right? Thank you. Howard, you're first.
Thank you. My name is Howard Katz. I'm a candidate for Sun Lakes Master Board. Kathy, my wife, for 58 years, and I moved to Sun Lakes 2017. Before coming here, we lived on a ranch in Temecula and had horses. Our hobbies were travel, camping, and horses. We most often put the 3 together by traveling and camping with the horses throughout the Southwest. I've been active in the computer club, photography group, and Yiddish culture club. I've attended the monthly master board and district delegates meetings. In November 2020 general election, I was elected to the board of San Gregorio Memorial Healthcare District and now serve on it and the board of the San Gregorio Memorial Hospital. I've attended 4 universities: University of Southern California, Mechanical Engineering, California State University Northridge, a BA in History, Cornell University Graduate Studies in Anthropology, and Fairfield University, Fairfield, Connecticut, a fast-track MBA program taught by the Harvard Business School faculty. My professional education, in addition to IBM annual technical and managerial training, I attended 2 premier IBM institutes, IBM Systems Research Institute and IBM's Advanced Marketing Institute. My professional career is 40 years, was in information technology. First 30 were with IBM. I worked 20 years in 6 locations and had in the U.S. and had 2 4-year resident assignments, first in Venezuela and later in Japan. Between them, I traveled throughout Europe managing projects for 2 years. The last 10 years were with Oracle, B.R. Blackmar Associates, and 24 Hour Fitness. I believe there are areas in which our master board could do better. Among them are enhancing communication, increasing the quality of financial management, making our website more user-friendly and efficient. Our master board has little direct communication with homeowners. Master board members do not have office hours to meet with homeowners. Homeowners are invited and welcome at the regularly scheduled monthly public master board meetings, but there's little actual dialogue with the board. Homeowners are not invited to and are welcome at regularly scheduled executive session only master board meetings. I believe this is contrary to our bylaws, which state in Article 6, Meetings of Directors, Section 2, regular and special meetings on page 22, regular and special meetings of the board shall be open to all members of the association. The board may adjourn a meeting and reconvene in executive session to discuss and vote upon personnel matters, litigation, and orders of business of a similar nature. As a member of the master board, I will schedule regular office hours to meet with homeowners. I'll also push to end the practice of regularly scheduled executive session only master board meetings. Our reserve shrank from 69.4% at the beginning of 2019 to 62.5% at the beginning of 2020 and to 61.7% beginning of 2021. The 2021 annual budget report and policy statement on page 9 shows the reserve shrinking to 37.9% at the beginning of 2032, a red flag emergency that must not happen. This shrinkage is due related to how our master board establishes and adheres to our annual budget, spends on items that exceed or are not even budgeted, and withdraws funds from our reserve when exceeding budget. As our reserve shrinks, it is difficult to build it back and even more difficult to increase. We cannot allow this shrinkage to continue. It feels as though our master board increases our monthly assessment every year. This year's $25 monthly increase is for expanded function from Spectrum. Although it benefits some of us, others use only parts or none of it, but we all have to pay our share. As a member of the master board, I will support a conservative approach to reserve management, adherence to budget limits, and the creation of a more realistic reserve plan. Our website is not user-friendly. This makes our users inefficient and our website less rewarding to use. As a member of our master board, I will support a website design and tool review followed by website and tool upgrades. For more information or if you have any questions, please contact me by email or phone. I'm in the Sun Lakes phone book. I've appreciated this opportunity to share my thoughts. Thank you for your attention. My name is Howard Katz. I'm a candidate for the Sun Lakes Master Board. I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Howard. And the next candidate that will speak is Linda Spalding.
Thank you, Joe. First, I want to thank you for having the candidate forum. And I want to thank our president, board, and management staff for their hard work during the past year dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. They had to follow strict Riverside guidelines and at the same time try to keep our community alive. As a returning board member, I am uniquely qualified to serve on the master board. I am the only person running for the board with previous Sun Lakes board experience. As a resident of Sun Lakes for 17 years, I have a vested interest, as you do, to maintain and enhance the lifestyle we are all accustomed to. I was District 17 delegate for 10 years, and 4 of those years I was alternate chair of the Delegate Assembly. I was co-chair of the Welcome Home Program, chairperson for the Sun Lakes Charity Fashion Show, and 2 of the galas. I was president of the Saturday Morning Golf Group and a member of Happy Cookers, Young at Heart, Friendship Club, and the RV Club. In recent months, I have heard from many concerned residents about items they would like to see addressed. First, accountability. I would like to see the board and management track resident issues and concerns and follow through with action plans. Too often, we put a Band-Aid on a problem and we don't follow up to make sure it stays fixed. Other times, we never respond to a resident's concerns. This should not happen. Each of you are very important to our community. Some homes and yards in Sun Lakes are looking tired and old. We have rules and regulations to prevent this from happening. We as residents need to take pride in our homes and neighborhoods and support our community. Foreclosures and probate homes are part of this problem. We need to be more aggressive to restore them and find new owners. Our golf courses. Many residents have mentioned to me that they want our golf courses to remain private, and I agree. I think that the additional cost of providing and managing public access will outweigh any financial gains. For many of us, the golf course is our backyard. Our residents take pride in our private course, and we want to keep it that way. Allowing the public to use our golf courses will result in increased damage to our courses, increasing maintenance cost, and we, the residents, will pay the price. They don't want to follow our rules, and they won't be responsible for the damage to our homes. Giving the public access to Sun Lakes will destroy the privacy of our gated community. We will have non-residents using our courses, restaurants, and facilities without supervision. I would encourage our director of golf to come up with creative ideas on how to get new and non-golfers out on the courses and increase revenue. How about weekend events and golf classes for the working residents? How about pitch and putt? I have a friend who is a non-golfer, and she played pitch and putt when we had it, and she used a driver to putt and to pitch, and she had a great time. Our district once did a Frisbee golf game, and it was sold out, and we had many non-golfers playing, and it was their first time on the golf course. This is something that could be done on the driving range as a special event, with people watching from their golf carts. There could also be a sportscaster and a barbecue. Third concern is our management company. There is talk about eliminating First Service Residential and going to self-management of Sun Lakes. I strongly believe this would be one of the biggest mistakes Sun Lakes could make. The Sun Lakes HOA has no employees. First Service is the employer of the entire staff of around 100. This effectively protects our HOA from all employment matters and disputes. This alone is reason enough to use a management company. Our community patrol, I have noticed that costs have been going up and service to residents seem to be decreasing. We might want to see if we need to go out and look for a new company. We need to think out of the box as we work on recovery from the lockdown. You have many choices in this election. This is your opportunity to vote for 3 candidates, so choose the ones who will put your needs first, someone who will listen to you and answer your questions and concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And the next candidate speaking will be Betty McMillian.
I've been a resident of Sun Lakes for 11 years, and during that time, I have been the District 5 delegate for 10 years, and during that time, I was also vice chair of the Delegates Assembly. I'm running for the board in order to continue the privacy and maintenance features all Sun Lakers enjoy while maintaining our low HOA rates we pay. I have also served as president of the Social Singles Club, and I was a member of that club for 10 years. I have also been a member of the International Culture Club and the Yiddish Culture Club. I was a longstanding member of the strength training classes here at Sun Lakes, and I was the president in the past of the Corona Laurelwood Homeowners Association for 3 years. So I understand the bylaws and standing rules and what needs to be done to make this an efficient and competent HOA. My employment background prior to retirement was in aerospace engineering with Kaiser Aerospace and Electronics, and I held the following positions. I was the Focus Factory manager with 10 supervisors working under my direction and 110 employees. Prior to that, I was the engineering program manager, and I handled all the Boeing programs. I started out with that company as the marketing administrator and sales administrator, and I worked for them for 25 years. My years of experience would be beneficial in managing Sun Lakes. And my experience as a delegate and vice chair of the Delegate Assembly would help me contribute to our lifestyle. Over the years, I have learned to be a good listener and have used the advice of others with common sense and good judgment. But other issues I am concerned with, and the reason I am now running for the Master Board, is to maintain the excellent condition and appearance of Sun Lakes. This HOA was built in 1987, and it remains one of the very best in California. There is nowhere else in Riverside County where you can live and where our HOA fees remain at the same levels as other HOAs in our area. An example of that is Four Seasons across the street. Their amenities are similar, however, they have a restaurant, but it's not a dinner house like ours, and Four Seasons does not have a liquor license. When they want to have an event in their ballroom, it must be catered. And at Sun Lakes, our restaurant handles it all. Also, please remember our Sun Lakes Country Club dues include $55 a month for Spectrum. And with a lot of extra options, our Spectrum billing comes in at $9.99 a month if you have a house phone. People living in this area are paying over $200 a month for that same service. You also need to remember we have 3 clubhouses, 5 swimming pools, 2 golf courses, tennis courts, bocce courts, and we have in our facilities here over 80 different clubs and organizations. Nowhere else in Riverside County has any other HOA have the amenities and services we have here. However, for our newcomers, it's been very difficult living through this pandemic. Everything's been shut down to the state and county laws, and they have not been able to really understand or enjoy what we have here. Hopefully, this will end sometime this year, and hopefully by May, and we can go back to being the viable and wonderful community that we have been in the past. We live in a wonderful HOA, and we need to continue to maintain it in the same manner we have done in the past. And I give you my word that I will do so. I ask you to vote for me in order to maintain the way we have our HOA now and will in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty, for your words. And the next candidate is Gino DeMonico.
Thank you. Back in 2011, I was invited out here to play golf and fell in love with this community. And when I went back, I immediately put my house on the market. And after living in it for 34 years, I moved to Sun Lakes. And I have never regretted that decision. A little background about myself is my schooling is I went to Citrus Community College and to UCLA. I started out my education with mechanical engineering, but ended up switching to accounting, where my main focus was on tax accounting. While I was going to school, I started my work career with a restaurant. I don't know if many people will remember it, but it was Topper Steakhouse, which was a competitor of Sizzlers. After 2 years, I was managing the Santa Monica restaurant for the individual who owned the franchises. From there, I went to work for Mattel Toys, where I spent 31 years as an employee of Mattel. I started in their distribution center in the City of Industry, responsible for their finished goods inventory. After 15 years there, I was recruited into the information technology department, where I was responsible for the management of their sales, logistics, and electronic data interchange systems. When I retired from Mattel after 31 years, I went to work for a construction company, mostly because retirement wasn't actually agreeing with me at the time. And so with the construction company, I was a project manager, where 2 of the projects that I worked on, one was Leapfrog Toys, where I assisted Leapfrog and the setting up of their distribution center in Fontana. Excuse me. My other project was I had one client, and that was Los Angeles Unified School District, where they had just passed some bond issues to renovate and build new schools. Currently, I have my own income tax business to where I started from scratch, and without bragging, but I like to admit that it has been a very, very successful business. The reason that I'm running for the board is I'm running on a platform of transparency, accessibility, and accountability. I never like it when somebody uses the terms keep things status quo or that's the way we've always done it. I like to think that with my background and my experience that a lot of my thinking is outside the box. I view myself as a moderate. I'm a registered independent, and so I kind of look at all issues from both sides of the table. And on the board of directors, some of the things that I think that need to be looked upon is, one is anybody that we have a contract with. Those contracts need to be analyzed and looked into it before we sign any of the paperwork, as well as after we implement the programs into effect. We should be constantly reviewing the contracts to ensure that we are getting what we signed up to get. The other thing too is financial stability is something that we need to focus on. And when I moved here in 2012, in 2014, our homeowners association dues were $230. Today, they're over $300, and part of it includes the Spectrum contract. So if elected, I plan to do everything I can for the community to ensure that Sun Lakes not only gets their money's worth, but what we're paying is a reasonable price. Thank you.
Thank you, Gino. Thank you for your words. And the next candidate speaking will be Randy Robbins.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. I'm Randy Robbins. I'm running for the Master Board. Before I tell you about myself and my thoughts and visions for Sun Lakes, I would like to thank the current board members, outgoing board members, and all past board members for the foundation that has been put in place for our amazing community. Our founders put in place governing documents that, all amended as circumstances required, are still the basis for continued success in a responsible operation of our community. I hope to have the honor to continue this tradition, as I know my fellow candidates will as well. I'd like to let you know a little bit about myself, both personally and professionally. More detailed information will be available on my flyers that you can get in the main clubhouse, on the Sun Lakes website, Good Day Sun Lakes on Facebook, and the Sun Lakes Life newspaper. Debbie, my wife of 39 years, and I raised our 3 children in Rialto, California. We now have 2 beautiful granddaughters as well. We moved to Sun Lakes in July of 2018 in anticipation of retirement. I retired January 31st, 2020, not 22 as a couple of my flyers went out said. I have been a volunteer in my local community my entire adult life. I have been in leadership of volunteer organizations for over 30 years. Much of that leadership involved creating training manuals, event organization, as well as program administration, creating and enforcing policies, procedures, and best practices. Most of that was within Little League Baseball. Professionally, I was in business management for over 40 years, beginning in the restaurant industry and ending up in the lumber and building products industry. As the last 30 years was as an owner partner in the lumber business. I managed daily operations, forecasting, inventory control, payroll, training manuals and programs. Again, in my professional life, I created and enforced many policies, procedures, and best practices. With my volunteer and business experience, I believe I have the skill set to build on and enhance our homeowners association for today and the future. I am currently the delegate for District 22. Prior to becoming District 22 delegate, I was the chairman of the District 22 golf tournament and have been active in our community dinners and emceed our annual White Elephant auction fundraiser. I've been attending master board meetings since we arrived here in this community, and I really understand and enjoy seeing the structure being handled well by the master board. So now on to the important stuff with a synopsis of some of the areas that I will focus on if I am elected. I look forward to working with my fellow board members on all issues. I do consider myself a fiscal conservative. It is the duty of all board members to be fiscally responsible. I take this very seriously and will do all I can to evaluate and explore that all expenditures are necessary and overseen by the management and the board. Safety and member security are an area of concern to many members in our community. I would immediately become familiar with the contract that we currently have with Securitas and evaluate what I feel can be done both safety-wise and fiscally sound. As we reopen post-COVID-19, we may see some necessary changes. I will work with my fellow board members and get input from the Safety Advisory Committee and members to resolve any potential issues. To use the old proverb, it takes a village. I will make use of all committees and delegates to assess and understand member thoughts. Board members should be able to rely on the committees and delegates to assist in being their eyes and ears within this community. I would establish regular casual meetings with members. I want to know what the community is thinking and what their desires are, and am hopeful that other board members would as well. With regards to the golf course, I think the golf course absolutely should stay private. I have no desire to see it go public in any way, shape, or form. Policies, procedures, and best practices should be created where they do not currently exist and maintained or evaluated where they do exist. This will create continuity for board members, management team, and staff for today and in the future. I will implement personal communication with members throughout the year and make sure they understand that the HOA is all of us. In order for the board to have a pulse on the community's needs and wants, I want input of the members. This is just a basic overview of what I feel we should do without getting into all the specifics. Hopefully, many of the specifics will be covered in the question and answer period. I will be here to serve you, the members of Sun Lakes Country Club. The Homeowners Association is your organization, and I would be proud to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. And the next candidate is Laurie Hazelton.
Thank you, Joe. My name is Lori Hazelton. I would appreciate your vote for the Master Board. I was born in Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin, and my family moved to Southern California in 1957. I've been married to my husband, Phil Hazelton, for 35 years. We have 5 children and 11 grandchildren, and all of them come to dinner every Sunday night. It's chaos and crazy, but way fun. We moved to Sun Lakes 11 years ago, and I've been active in community service for 9 of these years. I would like to take this moment to thank our current board members, all delegates, and advisory committees for their dedication to Sun Lakes. Community involvement. I have been a past president of the Sun Lakes Tennis Club. I've been delegate for Districts 8 and 11 for 8 years combined. I am currently the co-chairman of the District Delegate Assembly. I'm active in tennis. I play in card clubs. I do recreational golf occasionally with my husband. I play billiards. I have played bocce in the past, and I like to go up to the swimming pool a lot in the summertime. I'm an elder at the Beaumont Presbyterian Church. I also spent many years as a soccer mom. I coached, I refereed, and I served on the soccer board in Grand Terrace. My professional experience is I've been active in real estate for 12 years, 3 of those at my current place, and then prior to that, someplace else. I'm a president of a real estate property management company. I was an executive assistant at Loma Linda University Medical School. I was also an executive assistant at the Kaiser Fabricating Plant in Fontana. And I was chairman of various community groups in Grand Terrace, California. I'm committed to the restaurant, the lounge, and the Sand Wedge. I'd like to improve the serviceability and overall viability to best meet the needs of the homeowners. I have been a big advocate of home delivery for a few years now, and I'm really happy that they have instituted that this year. I think it's great, and I'm really, really happy about that. I think our homeowners need that. I'd like to maintain our HOAs at current rates or preferably less. I'd like to focus on residents' needs and concerns, and I'm also an advocate for keeping our golf courses private. The golf course is my backyard, and I love it. Opening our gyms and billiards room as soon as possible is at the top of my list as well. I used to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week, and I truly miss it. I am committed to keeping our community on the right path. I'm up to the challenges of complying with the restrictions and mandates regarding the COVID-19 virus as it pertains to our community. These are unprecedented times, and I think the Master Board is a vital link between homeowners, delegates, all three. These are my years of experience on the Delegate Assembly have given me ample opportunity to know our community and its needs. It will be a priority of mine to not just maintain our amenities, but to improve them as well. If elected, I will address all these issues and will be honored to join the Master Board. The year coming up will be challenging, to say the least. Please vote Lori Hazelton for Master Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. And the next candidate is Beverly Simmons.
Thank you, Joe. Good morning. My name is Beverly Simmons, and I have lived in Sun Lake since 2008. I like to be active in the community in which I live, so I got involved quickly, trying my hand at a variety of activities. Of course, being a golfer, these two beautiful courses called to me, and I joined the Legs group on the executive side right away. I have since joined the Women's Club, and I am right now serving as their tournament director. I'm also the chairperson for the Restaurant and Lounge Committee, serve on the task force as well. But most of you will probably know me best as the face of Charity Week, which I have chaired for the last 6 years. In all of these endeavors, I have found that the most important aspect, the thing that pulls everything together, is clear, honest, respectful communication. My background is in sales and marketing, and I've worked in several industries, including engineering, medical sales, property management, hospitality, and event planning. I'm also trained in arbitration, and I practiced for a short time with the County of Riverside in their small claims court. All of these experiences have taught me much, but my biggest takeaway is that clear communication is the key to successful solutions. Everybody has something to contribute, and people want to be heard. Communication is not so much about me getting my point across to you as it is about listening to what you have to share with me. I applaud the inroads we have made in our communication channels already. With the upgrade of Channel 97, our email blast, Good Day Sun Lakes, we're moving in the right direction, and I want to continue to expand that. If I'm elected to represent you on the Master Board, this will be my first priority, to make sure that the communication avenues are open, clear, and running freely. In my candidate statement, I address some of the areas in which I want to be involved. Increased patronage of the restaurant and lounge, preserving the integrity of our private golf courses that need to stay that way, interacting with our residents who are still working to discover ways in which they can and want to get involved in our community. Obviously, maintaining a strong budget and acceptable reserve levels is crucial, as is understanding how these are going to be affected by the ongoing mandatory wage increases that California keeps tossing in our direction. We live in an aging community, an aging property. We're over 30 years old, and we need to maintain this property, keep the property healthy by taking care of things as they come up, not waiting until something falls apart. This past year's been tough. COVID has separated us like nothing has before. It's closed down most of our social outlets. It's confined us to our homes. It's changed the way we interact. We can't even go spend time with our families, let alone go into the lounge and socialize with each other. And this has squashed the personality and thriving energy that makes Sun Lakes what it is. I'm committed to helping rekindle that energy, to bring Sun Lakes Country Club lifestyle back. This is what brought so many of us here. Luckily, we can now see a light at the end of the tunnel. Many of our outdoor activities are open: bocce ball, pickleball, tennis, golf, and rumor has it that soon our veranda will be open as well. We just need to get the staff hired in so that we can serve you. Being able to get out and socialize again with our friends is going to re-energize this community, and that's a high priority. The sense of camaraderie that normally permeates Sun Lakes is essential to its financial health. That's where we spend our money in the bars, sitting there and socializing, to the well-being of our residents, and to the overall cohesiveness of this community. We've all chosen to live here, and we are strong because of our diversity. We're not always going to agree, and we're certainly never going to please everyone. But when we keep the lines of communication open and flowing freely, when we look at the big picture and consider what's important to Sun Lakes as a whole, we'll create an environment that inspires partnership and cooperation. If I'm elected to the Master Board, it's my intention to listen to you with an open mind, explore the issues, and then work together, the board, management, and the residents, to create positive solutions. I'd appreciate your vote in April. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. And last but not least, certainly, John T. Jones.
Thanks, Joe. Hello, my name is John Jones, and I'm running for the board. I've been married to my lovely wife, Judy, for 56 years, and we have 3 daughters, 6 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. We've moved here to Sun Lakes from San Diego a little over 5.5 years ago. If I'm elected to the board, I will assure that every board decision is examined by how does this affect the homeowners. The purpose of the HOA board is to benefit the owners, and we should make that a priority. The homeowners will always benefit if we examine our board actions based on the impact to the owners. Current concerns: security. I don't think we're getting what we're paying for. We are paying twice the amount, over $1 million, compared to what we were paying 2 years ago at $500,000. Higher HOA fees. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to lower your HOA fees, at least not today. But I will say I will work hard to maintain our fees for at least another year. I believe our board did an outstanding job with the new Spectrum contract last year. Management. I think we can do better. It's just going to go out and do it. I've been talking to some of our people from our Finance Advisory Committee, and they have been doing some in-depth research on this very same subject, and we'll be presenting that to the board very soon. Restaurant. What can I say about the restaurant? Well, it's hard. It's been closed for almost a year, except for the grab and go. But it is still costing the homeowners a lot of money. January alone, it lost $55,000. Golf course. Sun Lakes Country Club is a private golf course within a private community, and it should stay that way. We do allow guests. We do have an ambassador program in place, but there are just too many things that would have to happen for us to ever open up this golf course to the public. I would like to see some changes for the better. I will promise you I will do whatever I can to help make Sun Lakes prosper again. My HOA experience is, I was one of the founding members of the De Anza Cove Homeowners Association and served on their board for 15 years. De Anza Harbor Resort was a mobile home park on Mission Bay in San Diego with a 50-year lease. The lease ran from 1953 to 2003. The city wanted to close the park in 2003 and build a hotel, but the state of California has a law called the State Mobile Home Residency Law. that states there are certain things an owner of the park has to do before it can be closed. From there, it became a class action lawsuit and was in litigation for 13 years. Community involvement. I have served on the Golf Advisory Committee for the past 2.5 years. Judy and I have served as co-chair for the Monster Scramble for Charity Week for 2 years. We both have annual golf memberships. We have been active at one time or another in the Young at Hearts, the Friendship Club, Friends of Boche, Sun Lakes Men's Golf Club, the Executive Men's Golf Club, Pickleball Club, Billiards Club, and the Saturday Morning Golf Group. My professional experience is, or was, I was a senior project engineer, creating the initial designs, creating function requirements, suitability of material, human factors, manufacturability, reliability, maintenance, and cost and design. My education is Chaffee Junior College, San Bernardino Valley College, UCLA at Los Angeles, and USC at Riverside. My credentials are, I have a state of California teacher's credentials for life, I have a secret security clearance, I have a certificate in total quality management, quality improvement and management, and an honorable discharge from the United States Army. I believe that I would be an excellent candidate for the Master Board, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, John. I think that section of the candidates forum went extremely well, so I think we should continue unless someone would like to take a break. All right, shall we go? All right, I am going to read the instructions on the second section just to make sure it's understood by everyone, please. It says that each candidate will be given a maximum of 1.5 minutes to answer the question. This is our question and answer period. I would remind you that the questions have been submitted by the residents through the delegations to a committee of the 4 that I mentioned earlier at the beginning, and they qualified the questions that were given to them to make sure that they were fair for all candidates. The timekeeper will signal to each candidate at 30 seconds, and then a thank you will be used at the conclusion of 1.5 minutes. Okay, are there any questions? Then I will ask the rest. Okay, here we go. The rotation we will use will be on stage number 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. The second question will begin with candidate number 2, and the third question will be candidate 3, and we will use that rotation so that the same person isn't in the same position for each question. So we begin with Laurie, and the question will be, and I will repeat the question twice. How would you renew community spirit in Sun Lakes and help us back to normal? How would you renew the community spirit in Sun Lakes and help us back to normal? Laurie?
Well, I would begin by opening up our veranda, getting that started as quickly as we possibly can. And as well, I'd like to see us this summer provide the pool service that we had the year before last when I think it was Damien was out there and did an excellent job serving drinks and food, and I think we did real well. So I'd like to see both of those things up and running as quickly as possible. And I think the more that we get past the COVID-19 mandates that we can, it will just naturally, people will gravitate and start doing activities again. And I'd like to see that. Thank you.
Randy?
On, excuse me, on top of reopening everything, of course, that's going to, as Lori just said, that's going to help us get the spirit going again. And what I always envision, whether it's with a board member or just different members within the community, just try to please the others. Please yourself, please the others. Get them excited about things, whether it be little special events, a happy hour, extra happy hour at the restaurant, or whatever it takes to get the community to mingle with each other and bring the spirit back. And I think the board members, delegates, staff are all going to be a big part of that. You know, the old expression, put on a happy face, and everybody around you is going to be happy too. So that's pretty much what I think.
Thank you, Randy. Howard?
Thank you. First of all, we have to adhere to the rules and regulations that our county and state health departments and the feds dictate that we have to follow. But once we are within those limits, we need to make sure that all of our members know that things are available to be used. We have been very fortunate, I think, in having a very low incidence of COVID-19 here in Sun Lakes, and I'm sure we all want to make sure that that continues. So opening up 100% all at once, I think, would be a foolish thing to do. But gradually opening up more and more would be something that we could follow, just to make sure that our membership is secure and protected. Thank you.
Betty?
I've been in Sun Lakes for 11 years, and I've been hearing from a lot of people. When we start opening Sun Lakes back up, I don't think it's a matter of encouraging them. I think it's going to be a matter of crowd control. We have got to get our people out and about, and the way we do it is the way they're talking about doing it. First of all, opening up the veranda, getting our restaurant going again. The latest I've heard on the news is that they're hoping to open up the state by the end of May. That was on CNN this morning. And by June, we should be able to open everything back up. We already have our golfers out there. We have a lot of the outdoor equipment out there. And I just really believe we need to use Channel 97. Works great. And I, for one, cannot wait to get back in the saddle. And I'm sure everybody else feels the same way.
Thank you, Betty. John?
Basically, that's a no-brainer. I think once the COVID laws lift a little bit and we open up the Sun Lakes, I think we can make Sun Lakes sunny again. I was really pleased with what I read in the Lifestyle magazine the other day about what the restaurant and lounge committee has in offer. They're offering basically opening up the restaurant for 7 days a week. They're going to be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're going to propose a happy hour, special menu. I think that's going to go a long ways to basically bringing back a lot of joy in Sun Lakes. When people can gather together on the veranda or for dinner in the restaurant, once that happens, the billiards room will open up, the gyms will open up. I think that's going to be great. It's going to be good to go back to something close to normal anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Linda?
Did it again. I think we need a grand reopening of Sun Lakes. We need music, we need dancing. We have not had a Sun Lakes charity event in a year, and I think the charity event would be a fantastic kickoff party, and I bet Beverly is ready to go. So, and also let's support the expansion of the veranda. That is a huge moneymaker for Sun Lakes. People have tons of fun, so let's party. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Gino?
Thank you. As everybody is stating here, that the easing of the COVID restrictions is going to open up things, and that by itself is going to initiate some increase in community spirit. But the thing that I think is more important is we need to listen. We need to listen to the people as to why they're not participating in various functions, why they're not using some of the amenities. I see postings on Facebook and my next door that people moved to Sun Lakes, but they never used the amenities. We need to find out why. Okay, we need to do whatever we can to get the community involvement so that people can enjoy the swimming pools, the clubhouses, the restaurant, the veranda, and the golf courses. I never heard of pickleball before I came here, but I love the sport now. You just have to get involved. You have to want to go out and do things. And so the very first thing I would do is I would want to listen to the people and find out what they want in order to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
Sun Lakes thrives on our ability to socialize, as evidenced by the little charity week thing we did in October. It was packed. People loved that. The main place to come socialize is the restaurant and lounge, and we are opening up. So there's lots going on there. The biggest thing we have to do is communicate that. Again, Sun Lakes thrives when they know what's going on. So that's what I think we'd like to do. Also, we've got to help the clubs make sure that they know they've got new and bigger and better things they can do, including having their luncheons again soon. Banquets is still so-so, but soon we should be able to do that sort of thing. Socializing is the place where this community thrives. And the more we can promote that, the more we can expand that, the more we can offer to the community, the better we're going to be. We will heal. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Okay, we have question number 2, and Randy, you will be first to answer. And here it is. How would you better the income from the golf courses and the food and beverage departments? I'll repeat. How would you better the income from the golf courses and the food and beverage department?
With regard to the golf courses, I think we already have areas in place where we can increase revenue. We have very few revenue producers in Sun Lakes, mostly our restaurant and lounge and our golf courses. With both of those, the restaurant uses a lot of labor and a lot of food costs. The golf course, of course, has a lot of maintenance fees. The golf course, we already have a procedure in place for guests to come in. I think we need to encourage guests coming in, and we need to encourage more fun tournaments. District 22 has historically had a fun golf tournament, a fun scramble. I'd like to see more districts and clubs maybe do that. That would increase some revenue, getting some non-golfers, as it was mentioned earlier, different things can be done on the golf, or have been done in the past. And that's the area there where we can increase revenue. With regards to the restaurant, increasing revenue, again, is getting more people in, getting people excited about Sun Lakes, communicate the specials we have, as we have been. Our communication program that's been put in place by the Communications Committee has done a fantastic job, in my opinion. I think we need to continue that with the restaurant. And then, obviously, if you increase sales, you still want to try to not increase labor as much as you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Howard?
Thank you, Joe. Well, I'll start with the restaurant. My wife and I really enjoy the restaurant. We find the food good, but we find that we plan our meals sometimes a week in advance, and having specials sent to us at 10 o'clock in the morning the day of the special is something that we cannot utilize. So I've been putting this forward to management and the restaurant for some time now, that we need a monthly distribution of the special list day by day for each month in advance so that we can plan. Because when we plan our meals at home, we already have the food and we don't want to go to the restaurant. So that's one. Secondly, I believe that we can do better on the golf course by having more people use the course. It is inexpensive enough that more people could use it and have a good time doing so, which may be special functions or special tournaments, or having tournaments where we invite a group from outside. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Betty?
Didn't want to work. I think one thing we need to realize is that we need better communications with our residents. One thing we can do to really improve people playing on the golf course and using the restaurant is by using our district delegates and by them using our zone captains and getting out and really talking to our residents. Not everybody just staying stuck in their houses. We need to be able to communicate with all the new people who probably don't have an idea about what really goes on here if they've been here a year or less. I think it's very important that we use the assets we currently have, which would be the district delegates and the zone captains. We need to get letters out there to people. We need to go door to door. Right now, I have been taking people back and forth to the doctor because they don't have a car. So we need to be able to really get together with our residents and give them a way to attend the events.
Thank you, Betty. John?
Basically, that's a twofold question, golf course and lounge and maintenance or restaurant. The restaurant has to open. And once the restaurant opens, then basically it's going to be generating a little more revenue. Like I've read in basically the Lifestyle magazine, they've got some very, very good ideas on what the restaurant and lounge is going to do once it becomes available. The golf course, it's always been a question, basically, how do we generate more revenue on the golf course? Well, basically, it's getting more golfers out playing. I have an idea, basically, initiating, say, a guest day once a month, where basically everybody invites a guest. It doesn't have to be just the men. It can be the men and the women. It can be couples. Maybe we have an 8 o'clock shotgun that basically follows by a lunch on the veranda or in the restaurant. That way, we're basically not only increasing our revenue as far as the golf course goes, we're going to be increasing our revenue in the restaurant. And I think that that'll be one of the main things that I would promote, is if I had a chance to do that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Linda?
The restaurant, I have heard really, really good positive comments about our curbside pickup and home delivery. And many have said they also like the daily specials, and the daily specials have been fantastic. Other comments I have heard is we do need to look into fresh foods, fresh vegetables, and fresh salads. I think that having a campaign of using the restaurant once a month would really help the income of the restaurant. And as far as the golf course goes, I said previously, we really need to look for events or classes for our, many of our residents who have moved in are still working, and that the demographics of those working has changed drastically. We need to come up with ideas to get them out on the course, and it has to be evenings, weekends, something that they can do on the weekend because they are still working.
Thank you, Linda. Gino?
As far as the golf course goes, I think that we need to utilize the golf. As far as the golf course goes, I think we need to utilize the Golf Advisory Committee more, and we need to look into how the various clubs are utilizing the golf course. Because one of the things that I've never understand is why the two women's club that are on the big course play on the same day, and why they don't play on different days, because you could then have more memberships and more people, more women playing on the golf course. The other thing, some of the things that I would like to see too is on the big course, I'd like to see a 9-hole men's club, or possibly even have team play. I come from Pittsburgh, and when the golf courses open up after the winter season, they usually open up with golf leagues. And the leagues are created teams that play each other. As far as the restaurant goes, my personal feeling is that we need to look into the pricing of the restaurant. I've been monitoring the daily specials, and one of the things is Before the restaurant closed on weekends, they had prime rib, 2 versions, 8 ounce and the 14 ounce. Today they have the 8 ounce, and it happens to be the same price as the old 14 ounce. So we do need to look at pricing because a lot of people need to afford to be able to use the restaurant.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
Our food and beverage, our restaurant, and our golf course are 2 of the greatest amenities that we have. They are what make us unique. Sun Lakes is so different here. And both of these welcome us to use them more. There's a lot of people here who I think would love to play on the golf course. They just don't really know how to get started, or they are still working. Our pro Brian has already instituted a couple of classes and ideas on how to teach people who don't know how to golf. He's totally open to doing all kinds of things to bring people in, like Nine and Dine and that sort of thing. The restaurant and the lounge, when we are open, then people need to come, and that really is the key. These belong to you. If you want to continue to have these amenities, I encourage you to come use them. Where are you spending your dining dollars? The next time you call Chili's, think about calling us. We deliver. Your restaurant here will take care of you. So please, spend your money here. You own this club. Let's keep it healthy. Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. And the third question we have, and we'll
Excuse
begin.
me, Joe, I didn't get to answer the
Oh,
question.
I'm sorry, Lori, you're up in the corner pocket there. Lori,
Okay,
go
I should have
ahead.
let you get me off the hook. Okay, first of all, I know that the food and beverage in 2022 will be the last year for our state mandated minimum wage increases. Now, with this in mind, it will be quite challenging. However, I have heard that the current board is considering enlarging the lounge. This will definitely help increase the revenue, I believe. The golf course revenue, I had a kind of an idea suggested to me by someone that we could offer all new residents a limited short-term membership at no cost, just to get them out on the course and get them excited about golf, and maybe they'll follow through with getting a membership. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to the third question. Do you have a plan to better control the increase of HOA dues each year? Repeat, do you have a plan to better control the increase in HOA dues each year? Howard, you to begin.
Thank you. No, I do not have a plan, because the plan is based upon the budget and what we need to do during the year to maintain and run Sun Lakes. The controlling the growth of the dues or the assessments that we have every year is a function of extra expenses that are due because the board decides to do things that are not budgeted, or because they want to do things that are extra. I think the best way to control the budget is to make sure you are fiscally conservative and that you stay within the budget and do a good job of planning for the year. And that requires that a planning session is done before the start of the year to create a good and worthwhile plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Betty?
I have really been looking at the budget lately. There's a couple areas that are really over the budget, and those would be landscaping and maintenance. Contrary to a lot of popular belief, the budget for golf has not been that bad. But in order to better control the increase of HOA dues, we need to completely review the budget, and perhaps we need to start making some changes. I've been looking at this, and I think there are areas we can really go in and change this budget around that would help control the costs, reduce the dues, and give us an opportunity to have an even better HOA going on here. I think all these things have to be looked at. I think the budget has to really come under a very close scrutiny, and we have to look at all of our expenditures and figure out just what is really causing the amount. You have to remember 3,000-plus homes. It's going to be a big budget no matter what you do. I mean, it's going to be, $12 to $13 million budget. That's just the way it is for this many and this large an HOA.
Thank you, Betty. John?
Yes, we have a Finance Advisory Committee that is working on ways to cut the expenses without cutting services. We are spending over $12 million a year, and we need to look at more ways of cutting wasteful spending. The past few years, we have had increases in our HOA dues that needs to be stopped, and we need to work on sensible deductions. And I think by doing that, by cutting back expenses, is basically going to fall over and basically make or less or hope our HOA dues from increasing every year. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Linda?
Thank you, Joe. Reviewing the 2021 budget, I was a little concerned at the reserve study when in 2017 we were at 84% reserves, and in 2021 we're at 61.7%. That's a huge drop. I would like to see how we can get that back up. Our HOA utility is about $74 per unit. And so I think we really need to look at how we could lower that. It might be street lights with the solar power on each street light. I don't know what area of Sun Lakes is using the most utilities, but I think we should look into that. Landscaping, the artistic maintenance works really well with Sun Lakes. They do, and they do jobs, they go beyond jobs, and they're not pushing what they could on us for an expense. But I would like to see our landscaping improved and see what the cost is and where it is. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Gino?
Keeping the HOA dues from rising is actually a simple plan because rising HOA costs is a result of rising spending. The spending here at Sun Lakes can be broken down into two categories, direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are going to be things such as utilities, the landscaping, the maintenance, and the indirect costs are the things that we do that are not part of a normal everyday life. So the thing we need to do more than anything is we need to manage our direct costs, and we need to thoroughly evaluate our indirect costs as to, do we need to do it now, or can it wait till later? The other thing we need to do is we need to look into, as part of our indirect costs, is the investment into renewable energy sources in order to offset utility costs. Thank you.
Thanks, Gino. Beverly?
Nobody likes to see the HOA fees go up, that's for sure. But we are in an aging community, and we do have to keep the property maintained. We have to keep the infrastructure and everything healthy. There are many ways that we can look at changing things. Yes, we need to scrutinize that budget. And yes, we need to reach out and see where there are other ways that we can perhaps spend less and get more. So there's a lot that can be done, I believe, in that area to help us kind of step out into new and better ways of doing things. But we are an aging community. We have to remember that. There are things here that we've got to take care of because we don't want to see our community falling apart. We want to keep it healthy. So there are things that we can do for the HOA fees. Do I have a plan? Not yet, but I'm certainly open to listening and learning from all of the people around me who have a lot more wisdom in some of the things than I do. Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. Lori, you're on.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Yes, we will have to look at every operation and find a way to automate or make it become more efficient. Also, a water conservation program, we probably need to start doing more of that as well, and I know that the current board has been working on that. Also, utilities, I think it might be time to look into solar possibilities, even if we just do the main clubhouse, not, take on the whole property, but also I would like to utilize the recommendations of the Finance Advisory Committee. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Randy?
Plan, I don't have a plan, of course, because there's not enough details, as Beverly said, but I have definitely some ideas and things that need to be researched. By reviewing every contract that we currently have long before its renewal date, and having any related committee to that contract or to that department come back to the board so that we can adjust possibly some fixed costs, thereby lowering financial commitments, ultimately lowering or sustaining our HOA fees. Again, our revenue-producing amenities are our restaurant and lounge and our golf course. I've already touched on what I think the golf course can do. Restaurant and lounge-wise can be a little trickier. We have costs of goods and labor, which are well above restaurant norms because that's normal for a country club. But based on my research, our food and costs, our cost of goods and our labor are at a much higher percentage than the average country club. So that's an area where I think we need to address, and I know that's what the committees are working on right now, and I would love to work with those committees to help do that, help deal with all of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. And we're at question number 4, and Betty, you will be first. The question is, briefly share the top 2 priorities you hope to accomplish as a board member. Briefly share the top 2 priorities you hope to accomplish as a member of the Board of Directors. Betty?
I think one of the main things we have to do is really review the budget, go through it step by step, see where we can improve it, see where we need to increase it, and we need to be able to take a really hard look at everything that we've been doing and why we've been doing it. Our goal needs to be to either maintain or reduce our dues. But people need to remember something. We need to remember that $307 a month, $55 of that is to pay for your Spectrum TV. So when you really look at the bottom line number, our dues are coming in around $227. I think the second thing that I would really be interested in doing is reaching out more to our residents. We need to be talking to these people and getting their feedback. We need to be asking them what they want to see, because they're the ones living here, they're the ones supporting us, and I think it's very important that we get more residents involved. And again, the way you do that is with your district delegates and your zone captains, getting them out there, getting them talking to people, and getting flyers out, and that will really lead us towards more involvement from our residents.
Thank you, Betty. John?
What are my 2 main concerns? I probably have 5, but starting off first, I guess it would be security. I think we're paying a little bit too much for our security compared to what we were paying 2 years ago. We have a very good Finance Advisory Committee in place right now, and my understanding is that they'll be reviewing all new contracts that come into Sun Lakes. I kind of wish they could have reviewed some of the older contracts we have, but I guess those are pretty well set. I think by doing that, we're going to eliminate a lot of extra fees that are hidden that we don't actually see on some of these contracts we've had. And by doing that, I think we'll be able to maintain our HOA fees at a minimum. Like Betty said, $55 is going to Spectrum, but I'd like to see be able to at least reduce our HOA fees, at least get it down underneath the $300 monthly range for the first year, and then work it from there. Management, we could do a little bit better in management, but that's going to take some time. The restaurant is going to be another area that's not going to take as much time. Once we get the approval from the county, from the state, that we can open our veranda and then move inside to our inside dining, I think that's going to turn things around immensely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Linda?
Thank you. We need to have a way to increase participation in the restaurant. I believe the Restaurant and Lounge Committee have great ideas. We need to start listening to those ideas and implementing those ideas. We need to find out why residents do not want to participate in Sun Lakes. And so many of the new residents, when they go into the administration office, they check the box and they don't want to have anything to do with Sun Lakes. They don't want to be part of the Welcome Home program. They don't want to be part of the district. We need to find out why. What can we do to reach those people? Securitas, I'm going to give you 3. Securitas, we really, really need to look at that contract. We are paying more and getting less, and that is not right for our residents of Sun Lakes. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Gino?
The 2 key things that I would like to look forward to is number 1, we have advisory committees, and I would like to elevate the importance of those advisory committees so that they have the able bodies to be able to do more so that they can inform the board to make a much better decision. The other thing is I truly, truly believe we need contract management. A good example that has been coming up is the security system. What we budgeted for, what we're spending, it's ridiculously different. And even with our gated community here, which we feel very secure about, we still see things happening that we don't understand. And so my priorities would be getting with the advisory committees and getting them to participate more with the needs of the community, and also contract management to me is more important than anything. We have to make sure we're getting our money's worth.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
Communication. As you have heard me say, that is my biggest passion. Everything starts with talking with each other. I agree. The advisory committees are full of people who know their stuff. We have a lot of talent here in this community, and people step up to help, so let them. I think we need to have bigger, more open communication between the board, between the staff, between the residents. And as we move into this, the board needs to tell us, as they start to work on something, the thought process of behind what they're doing, instead of just telling us all of a sudden, here it is. We need to have that ongoing communication, and we need to have the levels of communication so we know that the Restaurant and Lounge Committee, which is I am on, so I'm going to use that one, can then advise and move that into the board and move that to staff. That's very important. The second thing is to get people involved in their community. You own these amenities, so let's use them. Get out and golf. If you don't know how, ask. We can help you. Use the restaurant once a month. That's all we ask. Use the restaurant. It's yours to enjoy. And it's pretty good. Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. Laurie?
Yes. First of all, I would like to focus on keeping the assessments low while still maintaining our community at its finest. That would be my number 1 priority. Secondly, I would also like to focus on getting input from the advisory committees and the district delegates. I believe sometimes decisions are made without input from either, and I think they are all talented and have a lot to offer, and I would like to see them utilized more. Thank you.
Thanks, Laurie. Randy?
I also agree that openness and communication is key. I think one area of I call openness, or sometimes use transparent. I think the board needs to be very open and accessible within the guidelines. There might be between our bylaws and our governing documents and even state regulations, there might be certain things we can and cannot do. I would like to establish, again, within guidelines, a breakfast with a board member, a regular either biweekly or weekly situation where one of us or all of us, or not all of us, I know we probably can't do that, but one of us sits down at the table and says, come to breakfast and I'll buy you a cup of coffee. And we just sit around and talk and learn what's on their minds. Second thing is security and safety. As my wife loves to say, we don't live in a dome here, but we can sure try to do a little better job. And I think we have some areas of concern and need to evaluate the contract to make sure we're getting those areas taken care of. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Howard?
Thank you, Joe. My top two priorities are, one, the use of the golf facilities and our restaurant, and two, contract review. The devil is in the details in our contracts. For instance, it's really great, the contract that was written with Spectrum and what our new contract provides as far as cost is concerned, because it's saving me $85 a month compared to what I was saving or what it's spending for television access and internet through Frontier Fios. However, someone did not read the contract very well. They didn't understand what Spectrum was offering with Wi-Fi. The 200 megabit offering from Spectrum was considered to be the full service. But if you look at the detail, the download link is at 200 megabits per second, but the upload link is only at 10. And I was receiving 100 up and down with Frontier. And I talked to Spectrum about that, and I could increase to 35 megabits per second upload for additional $60 a month. So someone didn't read that contract or didn't understand the contract. We need to do a better job reviewing contracts, especially with Securitas. Thank you.
Okay, and John, you will start number 5, and the question reads as follows. Where do you stand on opening Sun Lakes Country Club golf courses and dining rooms to non-residents? Where do you stand on opening Sun Lakes Country Club golf courses and dining rooms to non-residents?
Great question, Joe. Great question. My stand theoretically, like I stated in my opening statement, is for the golf course is basically we are a private golf course within a private community, and I definitely say that is the way it should stay. We have we are allowed guests. We do have an ambassador program in place, so if someone wants to come in and play outside, but there are just too many hurdles we'd have to jump if we were going to open this golf course up to the public. If we open the golf course up to the public, we're basically opening Sun Lakes up to the public. As far as the restaurant goes, if I believe right, I'm sure that when it was open prior, we always allowed guests to come in. And usually I know when we used to have bingo in here, a lot of the bingo participants would utilize our restaurant. And I don't know if that's all that bad. It's generating a lot more revenue, and that's what we're looking for. So theoretically, I think it needs to be looked into, the Restaurant and Lounge Committee. I'm sure that they've looked into this situation, whether they want to allow it, but as far as people just coming in off the streets to use our restaurant, I think that we're going to have to look at that a little bit more as far as the security reason goes. But those are my 2 reasons, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, John. Linda?
First, I want to state again, I am not for opening up the golf course. Sun Lakes has one of the best maintained golf courses in the area. If we open it up to the public and it gets destroyed, we have to foot the bill to replace and take care of it. For example, we have the high school teams playing here. They walk. They're not in a golf cart. If they make a divot, they do not have the divot mix to replace that divot, so we have to go out and replace that divot with the committee. The maintenance cost would skyrocket. And we just introduced a new POS system. So when we open that up to the public, how does that fit in? Are they part of the POS system? Can they use the restaurant and lounge and the golf course? How do they pay their bill? We had to get ID cards because many of the bingo people who were playing bingo every Tuesday would go into the restaurant, they would have their dinner, and they would walk out without paying their bill. That's a fact. We have the golf courses. That's an amenity that increases your home value. If it goes public, it will decrease your home value. So we need to think seriously about that question.
Thank you, Linda. Gino?
As far as opening the golf course and a restaurant to the public, I think it could be summed up in 2 words: last resort. I would not want to see the restaurant closed. I would look into the possibility of opening it to the public only in order to survive. Because the last thing I would want to do is see the restaurant close. Same thing with the golf course. We pay a membership fee here to have these amenities, and I would like to see those amenities maintained and kept for the residents of Sun Lakes. The one thing, though, with the golf course is I would be open to an occasional charitable tournament as long as our expenses are covered in order to accommodate that tournament.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
Sun Lakes Country Club is a private country club with a private restaurant and a private golf course. They are here, those amenities are here for the enjoyment of the residents. Now, both of those allow guests. So I, as a resident, may invite guests to play golf with me or to go into the restaurant with me. And I think that is something that we need to remember and invite people to come play. But first blush, if you start to look at doing anything in the golf course, we have 12 carts that we could rent. So how does that work? We do a charitable tournament. That means we have to rent carts, and they are $50 a head to do that. It gets really expensive. I don't believe opening up either one of those to the public is the way to go. I believe Sun Lakes can support those amenities. Again, come out and use these. They belong to you. If you want to keep our restaurant, come eat here. If you want to keep our golf tournament, come play here. Learn how. I'll help you. I volunteer, especially eating. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Lori?
Yes, I believe that all guests should golf and/or utilize our restaurant with a homeowner or resident present. I am not in favor of the public having access to our amenities. I think it's our place that we need to protect our amenities for all of our homeowners and residents as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Randy?
I concur with what sounds like the consensus here, and we do have the running theme here that we're seeing of the restaurant and the golf course both are going to cost us. We already have a deficit in both of those that is paid for through the HOA fees. If we were to allow public on either one, they technically would be getting a much greater discount than we do, because we pay for some of those costs already within our HOA fees for the privilege that we've made a choice for our initial membership fee that we've made a choice to pay to play here and live here and enjoy our amenities that we pay for. And I think opening to the general public is an absolute, would be a mistake. I'll just leave it at that. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Howard?
I agree with Randy, and I do not favor public access or public memberships to the golf course. However, the board should not dictate to the total 3,326 homes anything that the membership has not agreed to. And what I really think ought to happen is we ought to hold focus groups, inviting some members in and let them express themselves and get 50 or 100 people randomly chosen throughout Sun Lakes to express themselves. Now, I don't favor opening for public access our golf course, but we may find that a great majority of our members do, and we have to take that into account. And if we decide that is the right way to do it, figure out a way that protects the golf course, protects us, and protects our amenities if that so happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Betty?
I really truly believe that we have to maintain the privacy of Sun Lakes. Right now, we can bring our friends and our family in as long as we accompany them to the restaurant. We could even take them out on the golf course as long as we accompany them. I think the privacy factor is very important to Sun Lakes. I think it helps keep our home values up. I did not like it even on bingo night when I would come in here and couldn't even get into the restaurant because of the overcrowding. I think it's very important that Sun Lakes maintains its privacy. You have to remember, we are one of the top HOAs in California that didn't come because we were open to the public. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty. Okay, number 6. What is your position on opening our garage sales to the public? What is your position on opening our garage sales to the public? Linda?
When we first moved here 17 years ago, it was open to the public. And then years past, it has been closed to the public, but yet we still have our landscapers, our housekeepers, they come in for the garage sales. I don't know about any of us, but I don't need any more stuff. And we have to buy from each other. But I think because the landscapers come in and the housekeepers come in, we're doing okay. They already come in. As far as opening up the gates, I do not like that. We can't control them. We don't know where they go. So I'm not for opening it up to the public because, again, like I said, the landscapers, housekeepers, and them, they are already coming in.
Thanks, Linda. Gino?
Opening up our garage sales to the public, I think is the wrong thing to do. Like Linda said, we do have our housekeepers and our gardeners coming in to participate in garage sales. And I think that would be the extent that I would allow it, because I do trust my gardener and I do trust my housekeeper. But I'm not so sure I trust the rest of the public coming in here, especially when they're bringing in trucks so that they can load up on merchandise. But, so my position would be to strictly on a limited basis to the existing people who have the transponders to where they can come into the community.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
I understand why someone would want to open up to the public. As Linda said, we all have enough stuff, and so selling to each other may not create quite the cash flow that you would like. But flip side to that, again, is just like all the other conversation about opening up to the public, we are a private community. So if we open our gates and just let anyone come in, how are we maintaining the security and the safety of this private community? So I agree. I don't know that that's the best idea. We do have our landscapers. We do have the people who are already coming in here, and they're very generous with what they purchase. So I understand where that question comes from. But I don't know that letting anybody in with a truck, as Gino said, is probably for the highest good of Sun Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie?
Yes, I'm definitely not in favor of opening our garage sales to the public. I think there's a lot of residents and homeowners here who would agree with me that I moved here because it's a private gated community, and I would like to see it kept that way. Thank you.
Thanks, Laurie. Randy?
The easiest way to answer this is no, I don't, and exactly what Lori said is exactly how I feel on it.
Thank you, Randy. Howard?
I agree partially. I do not agree with unlimited access to, or unlimited access to the public to come into our garage sales. I think access ought to be given to those people with transponders and those people that are approved and agreed upon by members being guests. So which reduces the number of people that could come in and attend our garage sales, but at least we have some security to know who we're letting in, and that we've already checked them out. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Betty?
We need to stay private. Housekeepers and gardeners are one thing. They're in here all the time, and they already have access. But we need to just maintain our privacy. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty. John?
I'll have to agree with the majority. It's much safer to limit the residents to the garage sale only. You definitely got a less clientele, but it could work. It could work if you limit this. I guess if you open it up, you say you're opening it up for what, 3 or 4 hours, and then theoretically everybody has to leave. I'm not too sure if that would work either. So I think maybe we should just go ahead and keep it private, although it does turn into be quite a social event, I know, in most garage sales. It does give you a chance to drive around and talk to your neighbors. And like I say, if you've got junk to sell, you can always go back and find more junk. So anyway, let's keep it a social event amongst ourselves.
Thank you, John. Okay, number 7. Do you have an agenda? If so, what is it? Do you have an agenda? If so, what is it? Gino?
I would like to think that everybody here has an agenda. My agenda is that I would like to see more community involvement, especially people with various talents that could be utilized by the community so that we can make this one of the best over 55 communities in the state. I will reiterate the fact that I would like to see our advisory committees become much more important with their involvement that they are today. I'm even to the extent that maybe we need another advisory committee or two. I would also like to see our residents more involved, and grant you with the pandemic that we've had, we haven't been able to attend the homeowners' master board meetings, but I would like to see that the homeowners have that opportunity to be able to come and express their opinions and let us know what their thoughts are. And that's primarily my agenda.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
I'm not running for the master board for myself. I'm running so that we can help keep Sun Lakes Country Club the best kept secret in the Inland Empire. I am running because I want to do what is for the highest good of this community. So if I had an agenda, I would say it's communication. I believe we need to talk to each other. I believe we need to know what's going on throughout. I believe we need to use all of the amazing talent that we have here, the people who volunteer to help, to let them do their thing. Let's pull in that wisdom that we're surrounded by and let them support Sun Lakes so that all of us can work together through strong communication to make this, again, the best place you can live in the Inland Empire. Thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Laurie?
Yes, I don't believe I have an agenda per se. However, I would say that I would like to keep Sun Lakes and our homeowners safe and look forward to a bright future and continuing the greatness of this community and the privacy of it, and just move forward and keep doing good. Thank you.
Thanks, Laurie. Randy?
Well, by definition, once we put it on a list, we had an agenda. So we all have an agenda, or I believe we all have an agenda of some sort. And I think the residents and members will see that through the answers I've already given and will give today what that agenda is. Now, do I have a hidden agenda? Absolutely not. I don't have anything that I'm working on behind the scenes that I'm not expressing today. Everything I want to express today is so that the members see that I will be here for them, for the betterment of this community. We've been here 2.5 years and we love it, and I want to see it stay good for another 30 years. But on that, to speak to agenda, my main keys are safety, communication, fiscal responsibility, including HOA fees, and use of committees and delegates as much as possible. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Howard?
Works. Thank you. Yes, I do have an agenda, and I've spoken about it in my 5 minutes. 3 items, and I may add a fourth: enhancing communication, increasing the quality of our financial management, making our website more user-friendly and efficient, and the fourth is to hold focus groups and hear from our members. Those things are very important to me, and I think they are generally what everyone else has stated besides. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Betty?
I think my most important goal is to maintain the privacy of Sun Lakes. Second would be to review the budget in order to see where we can cut costs and do a possible reduction of the HOA dues. And the other thing I would really want to see is everybody reaching out to our residents for their input. Thank you.
Thanks, Bet. John?
My agenda is to make Sun Lakes sunny again. I'd like to see Sun Lakes return to the days, say 5 years ago when we first moved in, when there was something going on all the time. It seemed like the place reminded of being on a cruise ship. There was either too much to do or you could do it a little as you want. And that's the way I'd like to see Sun Lakes come back again. Once the pandemic releases and we can all get back to normal, I think we can do that and make Sun Lakes sunny again. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Linda?
I have no secret, hidden, or otherwise agenda. The thing that I would like to do is to do what is right for all of the residents in Sun Lakes, listen and communicate.
Okay, now, the next question. What is your definition of a team player? What is your definition of a team player? Beverly?
Team player, I call myself that all the time. I can't do everything by myself. I need to surround myself, and I always choose to surround myself with people who can support and help each other. You'll see that with Charity Week. I've got incredible people who work with me in Charity Week, and it wouldn't happen without them. Team player is about working together. It's about bringing in the best people and empowering them to thrive, to bring out their skills, to do what they do best, to make the whole even better. I do believe I'm a team player, and I do believe it's because the people I surround myself with know that they can take the ball and run. I will not micromanage them. I want them to shine.
Thank you, Beverly. Laurie?
Yes, I believe that listening is the biggest part of being on a team. You have to listen to your fellow teammates. You have to support their opinions and their thoughts and be a part of the team. There's no I in team.
Thank you. Randy?
My definition of a team player is the fact that no matter what happens when the team is working, whether you agree or disagree, to use a baseball analogy, if somebody makes an error, you pump them back up. You don't knock them down. That's one definition of a team player. With regards to a board of directors or any type of a leadership program, if we're having a meeting and I disagree and for lack of a better phrase, I lose in a vote, I walk out of that room, nobody knows where I voted because I be the team player. I believe in understanding that a vote comes to a certain thing. You may not always agree. It's just like dealing with your siblings. You may fight and you may have things going on, but the next minute you love them and you agree with them and you get things going. That's it.
Thank you, Randy. Howard?
Thank you. My definition is a team player is a person willing to join the group to contribute to the solution. Whether they agree or not with the direction that has been chosen by the group. Everyone needs to contribute to make sure that the group is a success. That is a team player. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Betty?
Team player is someone who works with others successfully. We have to listen to each other. We have to reach out to our residents. We have to be open to different ideas. We have to be willing to work with others. We have to be willing to understand where they're coming from when you don't totally agree with them. But everybody has to be able to work together to make this a successful HOA. Thank you.
Okay, John, please.
A team player basically is someone who works with others, someone who can communicate with others, someone can understand where the other person or the team is coming from. Sometimes you have to take one for the team, and sometimes the team will take one for you. But it's basically a team effort. You're working together to achieve one goal in mind as a team. That's the team player.
Thank you, John. Linda?
Thank you. Team player, listen, listen, listen. Listen to their ideas, listen to what they would like to see changed. We have to work as a team together, and that's what a lot of us here at Sun Lakes do. We work together.
Thank you. And Gino?
As I stated earlier, listening is one of the most important things about being a team member. And I look at the board, the master board, as a team of individuals who need to work together in order to do whatever is best for the community. When we have our election, nobody is elected to a specific position here. They are just elected to the board. And so everybody on that board should have equal say, equal comments, and work together to do whatever we need to have done in order to make this community as good as it was years ago.
Thank you, Gina. Okay. The next question that I have is, do you feel the community of Sun Lakes is being properly managed? Do you feel the community of Sun Lakes is being properly managed? And we will go back to Laurie.
Yes, thank you, Joe. I believe that there's always room for improvement. I believe that it is being managed quite well, but there could always be room for improvement. That would be my answer.
Thank you, Laurie. Randy?
Overall, I do believe that we are being managed pretty well, but with a contractor of a management firm, I think as I said earlier, any contracts that we have should be evaluated annually or upon renewal date, whether they're multiple years or not. But overall, I believe we are being managed well. I think the communication has gotten better than it was at the start of this COVID mess, but it's been a mess, plain and simple. I think if the board is aware of all the policies and procedures and practices of what the management team is doing, I think the board will be able to be successful that way. And I think right now we're doing okay. I think it's definitely a thing that needs to always be evaluated though regularly.
Thanks, Randy. Howard?
I'm fighting this microphone. I think that answer is a yes and no. I think the general manager we have, and especially the assistant general manager, are doing a very good job based upon the direction they are being given by the board. I think the board makes too many of its decisions in closed session and comes up 4-1 or 5-0 on too many things. And I think there's very little member input to the decisions that are made. So I think the board needs to be advised better on how they're making the decisions. And if I am elected to the board, I will make sure that that happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Betty?
This HOA They started building it in 1987. I've had friends come in the front gate, and they can't believe how gorgeous we are. You come down Country Club Drive, and it is absolutely beautiful. All of us bought here because of the impression we had. Do I think the management has done a good job? Do I think our boards have? Yes, I do. I think there's always room for improvement. I think one thing, and the one thing I would really concentrate on is more input from our residents. We need to reach out to them more. That's the only thing I can really think of that I think needs to be done. But as far as maintenance, landscaping, the way our place has been run, you can't ask for anything better than this HOA. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. John?
I think we can do better. I've been talking to the people of the Finance Advisory Committee, and they're doing a study on basically the same thing as what we're talking about right now. And they'll be passing their findings on to the board soon. Talking about the maintenance of Sun Lakes itself. Yes, it is beautiful. We do have a great golf course, probably one of the best golf courses in the area. We do have beautiful landscaping. It's a beautiful drive to come in between the waterfalls and see the 17th green. So as far as the management goes, as far as Sun Lakes goes, yes. But I think as far as the spending goes, the money it's costing us for our management company, I think we can do a little bit better than that. And I'm hoping our our advisory committee, our finance advisory committee, is looking into something that maybe will save us a few dollars in the long run. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Linda?
Well, I happened to be on the board when we were searching for a new management company. It took us 6 months to find one that could take care of Sun Lakes, one that could handle a community our size with 2 golf courses, 2 restaurants, et cetera. Do we maybe need to sit down and have a talk with them so that we can be more efficient and effective in what they're doing with us? I think so. We also have to realize that they handle so much for Sun Lakes. And I think let's review the contract and let's see what they can do to increase efficiency with our organization.
Thank you, Linda. Gino?
I agree with John. I'm sorry. I agree with John. I truly, truly believe that we have to have better contract management, because I don't care what the contract is, whether it's property management, whether it's landscaping, whether it's security. There's the services always can be better, and we have to make sure that we're getting what we're paying for. And through this is through the management of our contracts. And when those contracts expire, instead of being on a month-to-month, we need to start evaluating, is this the direction we want to be going? Should we be looking at something else? And so, yes, so my answer to that is yes, we will always have the opportunities to do things better, and we should be looking into that.
Thank you, Gino. Beverly?
Yes, I do think we are being properly managed. This is a huge property. I've been in property management. It takes a lot to do this. I also believe, and you've heard me say this 100 times, we have to communicate better. I think that's the number one downfall, is the communication. The staff needs to better understand what the board wants. The board needs to better understand what the residents want. Management is fluid. There is always room to change, because that's the one thing you can count on in life, is that things are going to change. There's always room to grow and change and find something new and different and better. Yes, we can be better, but do we need to look at something other than this management company? I don't think so. I think this management company can also grow and learn and get better right along with us. I think we're in a good place, but I think let's talk to each other more. Let's work together more. Let's do that team player thing and improve Sun Lakes. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. I'm probably going to go through the rest of them. I think there are something like another 8 or 9 questions, and I think we're getting a little buggy-eyed or a little tired. So I'm going to skip a few of them, but there's a few of them that are relatively, I think, important for the residents of Sun Lakes to hear. And here is the next question. What is your stand on self-management? What is your stand on self-management? Randy?
Well, I know there's been a lot of talk in the community on social media and otherwise regarding this. Social media is here to stay, we all know that, so I guess we have to start paying a little attention to it also. On that note, self-management, I think there's some misconception what people think self-management is in this community. I've seen a lot of different comments. I think some people think self-management is literally trying to get a group of volunteers to manage this facility. And that is not how I would envision it should we make a decision to go away from a management company. What self-management would mean, we would take over, the board would take over the structure that is overseen right now by First Residential. We would still have to hire a general manager, assistant general manager, and every employee. There are positives to that, there are negatives to that. The biggest negative is education. Educating ourselves as board members and qualifications as board members to be able to operate that. I think I would have the skill set to at least be involved in that, if that's a direction that the community decided to go to. Secondarily, the positive of it would be potentially saving the additional cost that we are paying over just our staff and so forth. Basically what I would call the markup that First Service gets, which is within the contract, which I understand. They're in business. That's what they do. So that's my general take on it. Thank you.
Thanks, Randy. Howard?
Thank you. There are positive aspects to this, and the most interesting and important one is cost. Whatever First Service Residential is costing us is something that we could put toward reducing our homeowners' dues or adding to what we contribute to function here in Sun Lakes. The negative is that we would have to assume the responsibility, the legal responsibility and the management responsibility. I don't know that I agree 100% with Randy in that many of us may not be interested in running for the board if we have to assume that kind of responsibility where we do not have the full benefit of a management company behind us. So I think that this is something that really needs to be further discussed with all of the ramifications. It's real easy to say we need to self-manage, but the devil is in the details on how much time it's going to take to do that on a daily basis for such a large company. Because this is a large company with a $14 million a year budget. We have to be very careful. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Betty?
Your question really got me going here, Joe. I am totally opposed to self-management. This facility, this HOA, has been in existence for 34 years. And as I said before, when you come through that front gate, you can't find a more beautiful environment than what we have here. I think that our First management team has done a great job. I think our master boards have done a good job. But the administration does report to the master board. And the master boards, if you read the bylaws and the standing rules, the master board's the one that's really in charge. They're the ones that are always talking to the admin. What we need to do is go out more to the residents and get their feedback. But as far as self-management, no way. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth. John?
Self-management. I think it's a strong possibility. There's no reason why we couldn't become self-managed. We paid basically First Service $563,138 last year to manage us. I think we could do it a little less. It would take time. It doesn't happen overnight. It would take probably several years to make the transition. But there are HOAs much larger than us that are being self-managed. And one comes to mind, I believe it's Sun Lakes out in Palm Desert. I think they have 5,000 homes, and they are being self-managed. They always have been self-managed, and they're doing just fine. They have no problems. It's a beautiful facility just like ours is, and they have 2 golf courses, 2 or 3 clubhouses, pools, just like we do. And so, yeah, I think it's a possibility. Whether it's going to happen or not, I don't know. I think another one of our things is our Finance Advisory Committee is probably weighing that one along with the other 2 things that they're looking at. But anyway, that's my answer. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Linda?
For a large HOA such as ours, there are many reasons not to self-manage. For one, Sun Lakes has no employees. All staff actually work for First Service, our management company. They do all the hiring, the firing, the background checks, they manage disputes, which effectively shields our HOA from any lawsuits, claims, or anything else that might come up during an employment time. This is a very bad idea to self-manage the large community that we have. I did a lot of research and looked at the pros and cons of self-managing. And self-managing is good for something that's 50 or less units, or if you don't have full charge of the golf course, if you don't have charge of many amenities that some of the communities have. We have too much. And I don't know if anybody on the board wants to manage 100 employees. I wouldn't. So no, absolutely not.
Thank you, Linda. Gino?
I personally think self-management is a good idea, and it is something that we need to pursue. Whether we move in that direction or not will be determined, but we do need to look into self-management, because when you look back prior to when First Service was brought on board, a lot of people think that with self-management, we're going to have to hire all brand-new people, but the people working in the administration office, the majority of them were here before we had First Service, and they're here now that we have First Service. So we wouldn't be hiring everybody brand new, that the possibility existed we could retain some of these people. I do believe that, and when you think about a property management company, their motivation is their company. They need to make money in order to sustain their profitability. We're going to see increased costs in regards to what we're paying for service over the years, and I think that at some point we have to take into consideration what we are paying them and determine whether we're getting our money's worth in return. And when I talk about that, I'm referring to First Service as the company, not the administrative people. I'm talking the corporation.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
I'll be completely honest with you. I think it's a bad idea, and here's why. Our HOA management company, or any HOA management company, provides a whole bunch of services. They hire and oversee the vendors that take care of landscaping, golf course maintenance, pool maintenance, road maintenance. They provide accounting and financial services. They manage the golf course, the restaurant. They provide admin services, HR services where you need to know what you're doing. They provide legal services, and it's all under one roof. Under self-management, we still need all those services. So now we, your volunteer board, has to go out and hire all these different vendors and interact with all these different vendors. The board may or may not have the expertise and knowledge to do that, and you're asking volunteers for a 60-hour work week for free. One of the things that might attract you to HOA is the idea that the residents, in theory, have complete control. But in fact, the greatest challenge is now that your board has complete control. And who advocates for the residents? We are too big with too many moving parts to do this. And one of the scariest things is the legalities of all this, especially in the state of California. One mistake and we're in trouble. Thank you.
Thanks, Beverly. Lori?
Yes. As far as self-management goes, I think this would be a huge undertaking. I'm not in favor of this. I would rather, like I said before, utilize our advisory committees. They're talented. Listen to their recommendations on a larger scale, along with more delegate input as well. After all, delegates directly represent our homeowners personally. They talk to them, they see them. And as I've mentioned, my years of experience as a delegate have always helped me relate to the homeowners. So that's my take on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's take one more question, all right? Sigh of relief? Okay, here it goes. And Howard, you will be the first one. What is the most important issue that needs to be addressed? What is the most important issue that needs to be addressed?
Thank you, Joe. I think the most important issue that needs to be addressed is our financial position. I see that we are subsidizing a couple of our amenities at a considerable cost, close to $2 million a year, which comes out of our homeowners' dues, our assessment, and that needs to change. That could be done in several ways. I'll discuss a little more of that in my closing statement. But finances are our most important thing. As I stated earlier in my discussion, between now and 2032, our reserves are going to fall from 61.9% or 61.7 to 37.9. That means that we have less than 50% of our annual budget tucked away for in case there's an emergency or if we need to do something untoward. That is really a red flag emergency, as I said before. So finances and doing something about those two large expenditures is what I see as our most important issue. Thank you.
Thanks, Howard. Betty?
I think one of the most important things that I would feel needed to be done by the new board is to review the budget for improvements where we can find them. We also need to be looking at our reserves, and we need to be figuring out what's the best way to cut costs while still maintaining the fantastic amenities we have here. I think that can be done, but I think it has to be done with a complete review of the budget and input from our residents. We need to find out what they really want, and we need to listen to them. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty. John?
Question, Joe?
The question is here. What is the most important issue that needs to be addressed? What is the most important issue that needs to be addressed?
Communication. I think we need to be more transparent. I know it's hard in this time for the board to be transparent with the pandemic and but I think we need to be more communicative. Once the board opens up and we have our open meetings, I think we'll be able to express ourselves much more. Once the clubs open up and we have more social gatherings, we'll be able to communicate with one another. So I would say transparency is one of the most important things I can think of.
Thank you, John. Linda?
I'm going to say finances also. When you look at Sun Lakes, we're a 35 or 34-year-old community. Our infrastructure is going to start to take its toll. The roads in here all need to be redone and not just slurried, they need to be ground up. So finances, what areas can we look at and improve on? And I think we have a great finance committee now, and I think we need to work with them and have them make suggestions to the board on how we can maintain this community so that everyone can afford it. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Gino?
I'm going to state that the most important issue that needs to be addressed is the needs of the residents of this community. And I truly believe that there are a lot of residents out there who are unhappy with the way things are today. Now, grant you, this past year has been a bad year for us to have to go through, and it limited us on a lot of things that we were capable of doing. But we do need to reach out and find out what the residents want, what they need, and how do we get them back to where we were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, wherever we need to be. And I think that's more important than anything. And I know finances have a lot to do with it. I know the restaurant has a lot to do with it, the golf courses, but we need to see what the residents want, and we need to try to do whatever we can to get Sun Lakes back to being what Sun Lakes was.
Thank you, Gina. Beverly?
I'm a big picture kind of gal. I like to step back and look at the overview of everything, because then I can see all the different moving parts that make up Sun Lakes. And we can start to identify where maybe there's a glitch, where there's something that needs to be looked at. And how do we do that? How do we move forward? Again, I'm going to go back to my communication, because that's really, truly the power that we have here. When we talk to each other, when we have clear, open, honest, respectful communication, then we can step in and go from the overview down to the pieces that need to be identified. And there's many of them, as we all know. But ultimately, we're in a fabulous community with an incredible amount of talent. Let's tap into that. Let's talk to the residents. Let's get the board and the staff and everybody talking. That's what's going to keep us whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. Laurie?
Yes, I think, first of all, we need to comply with the COVID mandates in moving forward, which will include getting our food and beverage up and running and all of our amenities 100% restored. I think more than anything else, the new board needs to advocate for our residents by listening to them. We need to listen to our homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurie. Randy?
I think we've touched on a lot of topics today, all 8 of us, and I think the best answer that I'd like to give on this one is simply preservation of what Sun Lakes is. And it can be every topic that we've talked about, but preserving what our founders put together, as I believe it was Linda said a moment ago, our 34 years of being here. That's what I think is the most important issue, is preserving Sun Lakes, what was founded and what it has become. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, I think you've been badgered enough. Let's go on to the third section, which are the closing comments from each of the candidates. And they drew numbers to follow, and number 1 on this is Howard.
Yes, thank you very much. Our golf facilities...
I'm sorry, Howard, I was remiss. I want to make sure that everyone understands you do have a minute and a half to make your comments. Thank you, Howard. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Our golf facilities and restaurant are 2 of our more important amenities. The golf courses provide excellent leisure activity, exercise, and luxurious open green space. The restaurant is a welcome oasis for dining in a pleasant atmosphere. Our golf facilities and restaurant have been losing money. The losses are subsidized by assessments and our monthly dues. For 2021, golf operating expenses are estimated to require a subsidy of more than $1,430,000, approximately $119,000 per month, or a bit less than $36 in each of our monthly dues. Also for 2021, restaurant operating expenses are estimated to require a subsidy of more than $324,000, approximately $27,000 per month, or a bit more than $8 per month in our monthly dues. We must find a way to reduce the subsidies and bring golf and the restaurant closer to breaking even. A rumor is circulating that I favor opening up our golf facilities and restaurant to the public. A second rumor is that I favor closing one or both of them down. Both rumors are incorrect. I do not have an opening up plan. However, we need change. We could hold forums, focus groups, to hear from members, to hear the changes they want, and to make sure that our golf and restaurant are going in the right direction. We also could consider alternate uses. Sun Lakes members could access our golf course cart paths for walking, running, or bicycling. During times of the day, the courses are unused and could be reserved for that purpose. A single-use or monthly fee could be charged for pedestrian or bicycle access, and I would definitely pay for that monthly fee.
Thank you, Howard. Betty?
First of all, I want to thank everyone for helping put this candidate forum together under very trying times. Life here at Sun Lakes has not been the same with the lockdown we have endured due to the pandemic. However, this too will end, and hopefully based on the current news by the end of May or June. I would like all Sun Lakers to know that I will do my very best to improve our lifestyles here at our beautiful HOA. When changes are needed, I will go out to the community for input and advice at all times. I really believe it is necessary to always listen to our residents and to keep them posted on what is happening or what is going to be happening. I will do my very best to serve our community with the best interests of all at the base of my decisions. My intentions on running have been solely to serve our community, maintain and improve our way of life, and be there for others and our residents. Thank you very much. I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Betty. Laurie?
In closing, I am Lori Hazelton. I've lived in Sun Lakes for 11 years, with 9 years of community service. A vote for me is a vote for our golf courses remaining private, a vote for our restaurant opening, a vote for water conservation, a vote for more delegate input, a vote for more interaction with advisory committees, a vote for no HOA increases, a vote for maintaining and improving all of our amenities. Like I said before, I've been a delegate for 8 years. I believe my years of experience as a delegate have given me ample opportunity to know our community. If elected, I will work diligently with all members of the Master Board for a bright future for all of us. I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laurie. Beverly?
I'm excited by this opportunity to be a part of the Sun Lakes Master Board. I believe I have expertise and knowledge to offer that will enhance the effectiveness of the board, as well as support the community and its residents. I listen with an open mind and a willingness to learn. I'm a strong communicator, and it's important to me to empower others to bring forth their talents to help keep our community strong. I'm honest, respectful, and I have no hidden agendas. I'm accountable for what I say, and I will take responsibility for what I do. And finally, I'm a team player. Your partnership is vital to our success. The well-being of Sun Lakes Country Club and our residents is foremost in my decisions, and I'm not afraid to question things to make sure we're representing the residents for the highest good of the community as a whole. There are 3 positions open this year, and you've got a full field from which to choose. Please, make an informed decision based on what you've heard today. It's important that you feel heard and you feel you're getting someone with whom you can communicate, who will best represent you and your interests. Thank you for your attention. I'm proud to be part of this incredible community, and I would really appreciate your vote in April. Thank you.
Thank you, Beverly. And John?
Thank you. My closing statement is going to look a lot like my opening statement, with the exception that I would like to thank my wife, Judy, for being so supportive these past few weeks. We have a financial advisory committee that is working on ways to cut expenses without cutting services. We have been spending over $12 million a year, and we need to look at more ways to cutting wasteful spending. The past few years have increased our HOA dues. That needs to stop, and we need to work on sensible deductions. My 5 main concerns are security, higher HOA fees, management, restaurant, and the golf course. If I'm elected to the board, I will assure you that every decision the board makes will be examined by asking, how does this affect the homeowners? Like I said before, the purpose of the HOA board is to benefit the owners. We will make that a priority. The homeowners will always benefit if we examine every board action based on how it impacts our owners. My name is John Jones. I'm running for the board, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Linda?
Thank you. We have talked about many issues today, so I'm just going to take a little sidestep. Let's plan our future. The loss of our amenities due to the COVID-19 pandemic has taken its toll on our community. People are restless, friendships have been divided, and we are lacking our community spirit. The weather should be getting warmer, and hopefully the wind will stay away. Let's plan on moving forward as we near the county's red tier and start to open up our doors. Let's work together. Let's heal. Let's start over. Let's renew our friendships. Bring back the music, and let's dance. I want to work for you, for the future of Sun Lakes, and I really would appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. Gino?
First of all, I want to thank everybody for putting together this candidates forum. And I want to also thank Candy Christopher, my better half, because she helped me get prepared for today. But again, going back to my opening statement, I truly feel I have a lot to offer the community. In the past, just from my work experiences, I've managed restaurants, I've controlled inventory, I've worked in information technology, especially in the area of electronic data change, so I know about point of sale. I've also worked in construction as project managers, and today I was able to establish my own successful business, and the business is still running today. I do want to emphasize the fact that we do want to be able to look at newer and better ideas. We need to be able to think out of the box, and we need to be able to manage our needs and look as to what our future needs are going to be so that we can be successful. And I think we will do that more through contract analysis and contract management. Thank you.
Thank you. And Randy, you're going to close the show.
All righty. First, I'd like to thank our moderator, Joe Firmino, and our timekeeper, Jim Curry, along with all the members that have submitted questions for this forum and have given us, the candidates, an opportunity to discuss the issues and introduce ourselves to the community. I hope that through my statements and answers, I have conveyed to you, the members, that I am qualified, prepared, and ready to serve you. I could list off everything we've talked about, but the biggest thing I want to get across is communication and evaluation. We need to evaluate everything we're doing here, whether that's just simply how the golf course greens are maintained, how the contracts are written, whatever, from the minuscule to the large. That's a big issue. I think we want to evaluate, again, as the goal is to preserve what was put in place many years ago. And I'd like to see us do that. So if you should have any questions or want to meet me to the members, please, my contact info is on the candidate statements, and I'd be happy to discuss in more detail. Thank you again for the opportunity.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the 8 of you for volunteering your time and your efforts to run for the Board of Directors. And I'm sure that all the members of our Homeowners Association thank you too for making that commitment. Finally, I would like to ask anyone that might be watching on Channel 97 and the other media to please call a neighbor, call your friends, and tell them to view the proceedings that we went through today. I think you will note that it is a presentation from 8 people, some of them with diverse ideas and what have you, but it is extremely important that 3 out of these 8 will attain positions on the board of directors and will be the managers of our finances and our lifestyle for the next few years. So again, thank everybody. And finally, I'd like to thank Lee and Bob for their technical aspect and for viewing the entire proceedings. Thank you and good day. Hooray.